The call came in during the dead zone. That stretch between midnight and 3 a.m. when most of the city sleeps, and the only people awake are the ones who can't or won't or shouldn't be. A woman's voice, barely above a whisper. Someone in her house. Red suit. Claims to be Santa. The words came out in fragments, terror making her incoherent. I pulled up my screen, fingers moving through the protocol I'd done 1,000 times. Address, description, weapons visible. 5 years working 911 dispatch on Christmas Eve. You see everything. Drunk relatives, mental health crises, domestic situations that turn violent when families are forced together. This felt different. I dispatched patrol to the address, flagged it priority. Through my headset, I could hear her breathing. Fast, shallow, panicked. Real terror has a sound. You learn to recognize it. This wasn't someone overreacting to a drunk uncle in a costume. She told me she was upstairs. Bathroom door locked. He was just standing in her living room, staring at the tree. He knew her name. Said he came to finish what he started. My hand paused over the keyboard. Finish what? I kept her talking, kept her focused on my voice. Officers were 3 minutes out. Just hold on, stay quiet, don't open the door. Then I heard her scream. The line went dead. I stared at my screen, watching the patrol unit's GPS marker crawl toward the address. My heart hammered against my ribs. Come on, move faster. But I already knew. 5 years of this job teaches you to read the silence, to know when you're too late. The radio crackled. Unit on scene. Front door open. Then the words that made my stomach drop. Female victim, multiple stab wounds, still warm. Perpetrator gone. I logged the call with hands that wouldn't quite stop shaking. Jennifer Holbrook, 44, lived alone, worked as a teacher. The officers' voices over the radio were tight, controlled, professional, but I could hear what they weren't saying. This wasn't random. 12 minutes later, my screen lit up again. Male voice this time. Older, shaking, same story. Someone in his house, red Santa suit, won't leave, just staring. I had patrol rolling before he finished describing the situation. Told him to lock himself in a room, stay on the line, help was coming. I heard him scream too. By the time officers arrived, Thomas Chen was dead in his kitchen. Knife wounds, card left by the Christmas tree. You've been very naughty. The third call came 18 minutes after that. I was dispatching units before the caller finished their first sentence. But I was also pulling up something else, because that feeling of wrongness had crystallized into certainty. I searched the dispatch archive. Christmas plus home invasion plus Santa suit. 3 results appeared. December 25th, 2015. Victim reported intruder in Santa costume. Officers arrived to find victim deceased. December 25th, 2018. Same scenario, different victim, same red suit. December 25th, 2021. Again, every 3 years, always Christmas, always after midnight. Tonight was December 25th, 2024. My supervisor Karen appeared behind me, asking what was happening. I showed her the pattern. Her face went pale. She told me to leave right now, but I couldn't. I was the only dispatcher until 3 a.m. Someone had to answer the calls. She left to coordinate with detectives, and I turned back to my console. The radio chatter continued. Officers processing scenes, looking for evidence, but I knew they wouldn't find anything useful. This person had been doing this for 9 years. They knew how to disappear. I pulled up the old case files, looking for connections. There had to be something linking these people. Then I found it. Jennifer Holbrook had called 911 5 times this year. Someone in her yard, Car following her. Strange noises at night. Thomas Chen had called 7 times. Same pattern. Feeling watched, feeling unsafe. My mouth went dry. I pulled up my own call history. 3 calls this year. Someone had broken into my apartment, except nothing was missing. A car had followed me home from work, except patrol found nothing. My apartment door had been unlocked when I knew I'd locked it. Each time they'd told me I was probably just tired, working too many night shifts, imagining things. But I knew what fear sounded like. I'd heard it in those callers' voices tonight. I'd heard it in my own voice on those recordings. I checked the victim profiles again. Age 32 to 44. Single, living alone. Night shift workers. All had called 911 multiple times before they died. I'm 32. Single. Night shift 911 dispatcher. I fit the profile perfectly. The realization hit me like cold water. This wasn't random selection. This was methodical, deliberate. Someone had been watching these people, watching me, for months, learning patterns, learning fears, preparing. I needed the physical archives. The basement files had details that weren't digitized, witness statements, photographs, investigator notes. Something that might tell me who was doing this. The archive room was 3 floors down, accessed through the back stairwell. This time of night, the building was mostly empty. Just me, Karen, and the security guard at the front desk. I grabbed my keycard and headed for the stairs. Something was wrong, and I was about to find out just how wrong. The stairwell was cold. My breath came out in small clouds. My footsteps echoed on the concrete steps, too loud in the silence. Halfway down, I heard footsteps above me. Slow, deliberate, not the quick tap of someone rushing. Something heavier, dragging slightly. I stopped, listened. The footsteps stopped too. My skin prickled. I looked up through the gap between the stair railings. Nothing visible. Just shadows and emergency lighting casting everything in sickly green. I called out Karen's name. No answer. The building settled around me. That deep silence when even the machines seemed to be sleeping. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud in my ears. Then I saw it. On the landing above me, barely visible in the dim light. A figure in red, not moving, just standing there, watching me through the railings. The Santa suit looked old. Real fur trim, heavy fabric, but the proportions were wrong. The arms hung too long, the head tilted at an angle that made my stomach turn. We stared at each other for 3 heartbeats. Then it moved, not toward me, back into the shadows of the upper hallway, disappearing as silently as it had appeared. I ran, not down to the archives, up, back to dispatch, back to light and cameras and my radio. My keycard fumbled against the reader twice before the door beeped open. I slammed it behind me, chest heaving. Karen was in her office, on the phone with detectives. She saw my face and immediately stood, asking what happened. I told her. Someone in the building, in the stairwell, wearing the suit. She was already moving, calling security, requesting patrol units to our location. But I was staring at my console screen. An incoming call. The number made my heart stop. It was coming from inside the building, from the security desk downstairs. My hand hovered over the answer button. Every instinct screamed not to pick up, but this was my job. This was what I did. I answered calls. I pressed accept. Heavy breathing. Then a voice, distorted, wrong, like someone speaking through thick fabric. He knew my name. I glanced at the security camera feed on my monitor. The lobby was empty. The security desk was empty, but the phone at that desk was off the hook, dangling by its cord. I asked where the security guard was. He told me the guard had gone home early. Wasn't feeling well. He'd helped him to his car. The way he said helped made my blood run cold. My hand hit the panic button under my desk, silent alert to every patrol unit in the area. The voice continued. "I'd been very naughty," he said, "calling for help so many times this year, making them come to my apartment when there was never anything there. I told him there was something there. Someone had been following me." He said someone had been preparing, learning my patterns, learning my fears, learning me. My eyes tracked across the security feeds. Still empty. Then I saw it. Stairwell camera. A flash of red fabric heading up toward dispatch. I told him he couldn't get in. Keycard access, reinforced doors. He asked if I really thought a door lock would stop him. He'd been in my apartment 7 times while I slept. The electronic beep made me spin in my chair. The dispatch door was opening. Standing in the doorway, backlit by the hallway fluorescence, was a figure in a red Santa suit. The suit looked ancient. Real fur, matted and stained, heavy fabric that hung wrong on the frame underneath. The smell hit me first. Mothballs and something metallic. Old blood. The mask was worse. Traditional Santa face, but the eyes behind it were too still, too focused. He held a card in his gloved hands. My mind was racing. Officers were maybe 2 minutes out. I just needed to keep distance, keep him talking, keep myself alive until help arrived. He took a step inside. The fabric of the suit rustled. Too loud in the quiet dispatch center. I could hear his breathing through the mask. Slow, steady. I backed away from my desk. My hand found the ceramic coffee mug I'd been using. Heavy. Could do damage if I needed it to. He tilted his head, studying me. Said he'd been checking his list. I asked why me. Keep him talking. Keep him engaged. He told me I worked nights. Heard them scream. Every call, every night. I sent others to save them. But I couldn't save them tonight, could I? I'd heard Jennifer Holbrook die. Thomas Chen. I'd heard them and couldn't do anything. I told him I did my job. I sent help. He said it was always too late. The sirens were closer now, maybe 60 seconds. I just needed to keep him talking, keep distance between us. He told me his father wore this suit, taught him what naughty really means. I didn't need the details. I'd heard enough calls from houses like his, knew what that voice meant, knew what happened to children in homes where Christmas was about punishment instead of joy. He was 5 feet away now, close enough that I could see his eyes through the mask. Dark, empty. He asked if I knew why he chose me. I was about to find out exactly how deep this nightmare went. I threw the mug. It hit the mask, snapping his head back. He stumbled, hand going to his face. I grabbed the stapler from my desk, heavy, industrial thing, swung it as hard as I could at his head. The impact made a sound like meat hitting pavement. He went down on one knee, not unconscious, but dazed. I ran for the door, but he was faster than he should have been in that bulky suit. His hand caught my ankle. I kicked, connected with something that crunched. He made a sound, not quite human. Let go. The door burst open. 4 officers, weapons drawn, shouting commands. He dropped flat, hands behind his head, still making that horrible sound through the mask. They had him cuffed in seconds, dragging him out, reading rights. But as they pulled him past me, his eyes found mine one more time. Behind the mask, he smiled, like he'd won something. 2 hours later, I finally went home. Karen wanted to drive me, wanted to stay with me, but I needed to face this alone. Needed to prove to myself that I wasn't going to let fear control me. My apartment door was exactly as I'd left it. Locked. Secure. But my Christmas tree, the small one I'd put up more out of habit than anything, had something underneath it that hadn't been there this morning. A small wrapped box. Red paper. Green ribbon. I should have called it in. Should have waited for the bomb squad. Instead, I opened it. Inside was a thumb drive and a card. The card read, "For Alex, Merry Christmas. You've been very good this year." My hands were shaking as I opened my laptop, inserted the drive, clicked the video file. The footage showed my bedroom. My bed. Me, sleeping. The camera angle suggested it had been filmed from my closet. I watched myself sleep for 30 seconds. Then a figure stepped into frame, standing at the foot of my bed, watching me, but not the man they'd arrested. This was someone else. Smaller. The Santa suit fit differently. The timestamp showed tonight. 20 minutes ago. While I'd been giving my statement to detectives, someone had been here, in my apartment, recording this. I looked up from the laptop screen. My bedroom door was closed. I'd left it open. The temperature in the room dropped. That sudden cold that has nothing to do with weather and everything to do with primal fear. Every hair on my body stood up. I should call 911. Should run. Should do anything except what I did next. But I was done waiting for rescue. Done being afraid. I stood up slowly, grabbed the kitchen knife from the block on my counter, crossed to my bedroom door, put my hand on the knob. I said I knew someone was in there. My voice didn't shake. 5 years of talking people through the worst moments of their lives had taught me how to keep my voice steady even when every instinct screamed to run. Silence. I turned the knob, pushed the door open. My bedroom looked normal. Bed unmade from this morning. Clothes on the chair. Window closed and locked. But my closet door was cracked open. Just an inch. I could see something red in the darkness inside. I told whoever it was to come out. The closet door opened wider. She was younger than I expected. Maybe late 20s. Pretty in a forgettable way. The kind of face you'd pass in a grocery store and never remember. The Santa suit she wore was newer than the one from Dispatch. Cleaner. But her eyes had the same empty quality. She told me I was supposed to be afraid. I said I was afraid, but I wasn't running. She smiled. Not the predatory smile from the man in Dispatch. Something sadder. She said he'd told her I was different, that I had that look, that calculation. I asked who she was. She asked if it mattered. There were so many of them, she said. I'd stopped one tonight, but there were dozens more. Hundreds, maybe. All over the country. All wearing the suit. All checking their lists. My mind was racing. The pattern across different cities. Different suspects. A network. I asked why she was telling me this. She said I'd been chosen. Not as a victim. As a recruit. She pulled out a photograph slowly, giving me time to see it wasn't a weapon. Set it on my dresser. The photograph showed me. Sleeping, but written on the back in red ink were other names. Addresses. Dates. She told me they'd been watching me for a year. I saw the darkness, heard it every night. All those calls, all those people who deserved what was coming to them. The abusers, the stalkers, the ones who hurt children. I asked if that's what they told themselves, that they were punishing the naughty. She asked if they weren't. Did I think Jennifer Holbrook was innocent? I should read her file. What she did to the students she taught, the complaints that were buried, The children who tried to speak up and weren't believed. My stomach turned. I told her that wasn't justice. That was murder. She said justice is just murder with paperwork. I knew that. I'd heard the calls. I'd sent help and watched it arrive too late. I'd heard people die while I sat behind a desk and did nothing. I told her I did my job. She asked how that felt. When they died anyway. The worst part was, I knew what she was doing. Manipulation. Recruitment tactics. Trying to make me doubt myself. Make me angry at the system. Make me feel like violence was the only answer. The worst part was, part of me understood. I told her to get out of my apartment. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. I had their number, she said. The one he'd given me, when I was ready. And I would be ready, eventually. I should call it. There was a suit waiting for me. She walked past me, toward the door. I should have stopped her. Should have called the police. But I was frozen, watching her go. At the door, she paused, told me to check my closet, check what had been waiting for me. Then she was gone. I stood there for a full minute, listening to my own heartbeat. Then I crossed to my closet, pushed the door fully open. Hanging in the back, behind my winter coats, was a Santa suit, brand new, my size, and pinned to it a list of names. I recognized 3 of them, people I'd dispatched calls about, abusers who'd gotten away with it, stalkers who'd been released, people who made victims call 911 and then slipped through the cracks of the system, people I'd wanted to see punished. I pulled the suit off the hanger, took it to my kitchen, grabbed the lighter fluid I used for candles. The suit burned fast. Synthetic fabric going up in seconds, filling my kitchen with acrid smoke that would take days to air out. I burned the list too, and the photograph, but I kept the number. Not because I'd call it, but because I needed to remember. Needed to remember how close I'd come. How easy it would have been to look at that list and think, yes. How seductive the idea of direct action was when you spent every night hearing people beg for help that came too late. It's been 3 weeks now. The man from dispatch is in custody. The woman was never found. The FBI raided some houses, arrested some people, but everyone knows it's not over. Last night, I got a new call. Different voice, same pattern. Someone in a Santa suit, standing by a Christmas tree, knowing things they shouldn't know. I dispatched patrol, logged the call, did my job. But when I got home, there was a new card under my door. You burned the suit, but you kept the number. We'll be waiting, Alex. Merry Christmas. I stared at that card for an hour. Then I did something I knew I shouldn't do. I called the number. A voice answered. Not the woman. Someone else. They said they knew I'd call eventually. I told them I was calling to say I was coming for them. All of them. I was going to find every name, every address, every person in their network. And I was going to stop them. Silence on the other end. Then laughter. They said that's exactly why they chose me. I had the conviction, the dedication. I just needed to redirect it. They hung up. I sat there in my apartment looking at the phone in my hand, at the number displayed on the screen, and I realized something that made my blood run cold. I couldn't tell the difference anymore between wanting to stop them and wanting to join them, between wanting to save people and wanting to punish the ones who hurt them. I checked my reflection in the window. In the darkness outside, with the light from my apartment behind me, I could almost see it. A red suit, a traditional mask, a list of names. I blinked. The image was gone, but the feeling remained. It's past midnight now. Time to start my shift. Time to answer the calls. Time to hear people scream and send help that might arrive too late. Time to check my list. And wonder how many more Christmases I can do this job before I stop sending rescue and start delivering punishment. Before I become the thing I'm supposed to stop. Before someone calls 911 about a figure in a red suit standing in their living room, and the voice on the other end of the line is mine.